What's up, you guys? Your jack of all trades, master of none for all card games is here with a Digimon deck profile. This is technically a tournament winning profile, though I've lost just as many tournaments as I've won. Okay, that's not true. I've lost more tournaments than I've won. Either way, this is a yellow hybrid list. Yellow-purple hybrid, it's a mid-range style deck. It has aggression, it has control, but it plays at a pace, and it's a very measured pace so that you can always turn it up or turn it down at a moment's notice. I really enjoy doing that. This is the first deck in the Digimon card game where I feel I'm playing the game the way I want to play it. And right now in the metagame, there are people who do not like dealing with the way I like to play this game. Like any good hybrid list, we're gonna start off with our 4 Bokomons. Bokomon is standard in hybrid decks. Searches for Tamers, searches for hybrids, and in a deck like this that plays at a measured pace, being able to play 1, 2, even 3 Bokomon and have them all in play at the same time, you can end up getting more resources during your turn, and you're not going to make an explosive play with those resources. You're going to use the extra memory you get from these Bokomons to play 1 more card than your opponent, take 1 more security away from your opponent, take 1 more memory away from your opponent. Turn after turn, you just want to take something from them or add something to your board, and Bokomon is a very important part of that. You need to see 1 as a bare minimum. That's why I like the mulligan rule. I will always mulligan to see if I can get a Bokomon. If I see a Bokomon at the start of my game, I feel infinitely happier. It doesn't matter what else is in my hand. So you mulligan for this to see 1. You want to get 2 on the board at the same time. If you can get 3, and one time I had 4, you're cruising to that victory. One thing though, in the matchup against red decks, or any deck that can kill rookies easily, watch out for your Bokomons, guys. They will kill them. Bokomon is, you need 1 just to get started. But in order for Bokomon to get real use out in this deck, you need to be able to keep them on board so you can get multiple and get as much as you can out of them. Losing a Bokomon is terrible, so always keep track of when your opponent's gonna play something that may delete your Bokomons. And if you can, always keep 1 in hand. If you know they're deleting them, keep 1 in hand that you're ready to play at a moment's notice. Like I said, this is a yellow-purple list, so I'm gonna get the purple out the way. My low end outside of Bokomon is all purple. So I have Gazimon here. Many of you guys know about Gazimon. He stops your opponent from being able to gain memory outside of Tamer effects. It's really here just for memory boost and the blue matchup with their hammer sparks and stuff. I've gotten a lot of use out of Gazimon. I love this card. Oh, I'm talking about purple, but I can't forget to mention my egg, which is actually just 4 of Xiaomon. Because in order to resolve purple options, all you really need is to have a purple baby flipped up. You don't have to actually have a rookie on board or anything. So Xiaomon can get that done at a bare minimum, but that effect that gives it retaliation when you have 10 or more trash is beautiful. Your opponent's usually not counting your trash because that's not a common thing to deal with in the yellow matchup. So in late game, you can end up using a Gazimon who may not have anything that he's blocking in a lot of matchups or in just the situation. And now he's retaliate because he's over this Xiaomon. You swing and you can kill something huge. You can kill a Susanomon. And then the last of my rookies, I only have a few. I have 2 Elecmons. Elecmon on deletion deletes one of your opponent's level 3 or lower Digimon. Or I guess it's level 3. They wouldn't have a level 2 on the board. Either way, this type of utility is amazing. I've had opponents sit on, they've sat on memory blockers like Gazimon. They've sat on things that reduce Digivolution cost. And that's really painful when you're playing hybrids and most of your cards reduce their Digivolution cost. Elecmon just can run up and say, suicide, kill that, now I'm free to play the game I want to play again. I can't imagine playing this game without Elecmon. I really can't. I love having this. And the fact that it's just a free Digivolve, which to me it's a draw and then a piece of utility. I can save it in raising until I need it, or I can just use it for extra aggression. I love this card. That's it for rookies. Now we're going to go into the core of the deck, our champion hybrids. We have for Kazemon and for, oh, I got my lower. For Zephyrmon, they're the core of the hybrid strategy. Let me move them up. You only move as fast as you see these cards. You're going to be playing them in your mid to late game constantly. Kazemon's a very simple hybrid. You just digivolve this over a Tamer for the cost of 2. That's important because Bokomon will give you 2 memory when you digivolve a hybrid over a Tamer. So he can make your first hybrid play free. And if you have multiple Bokomon, now you end up gaining memory when you digivolve over a Tamer. Once per turn, but that's still huge, is gaining 2 memory. And when you see the Tamer lineup, you'll be thinking, man, you end up with a lot of memory over time, because you do. But other than that, she doesn't do anything else. Now we have Zephyrmon. Zephyrmon's a bit more unique. Its Digivolution cost does not matter. I have never Digivolved it for 3, and I don't think I ever will. Actually, I guess I can't in this list because it requires a yellow Digimon. It can also Digivolve over another champion for a cost of 1. There are situations where that can be useful. I've done that just to choke people before. I've done it, you know. But Zephyrmon, when you have a Zoe underneath it or like a Kazemon underneath it, it gives all your security Digimon plus 3,000 until the end of your opponent's turn. So it's one of those things that you kind of expect your opponent to forget about. And we have Tamers and things that increase the DP of your security Digimon too. So even little things like Elecmon in your security can start killing like even ultimate level Digimon sometimes. It's subtle, but it's pretty good. But most of the time, you're using it in the same way as Kazemon. You're digivolving it for a cost of 2. You digivolve it over a Tamer for a cost of 2. Bokomon can refund that. These are the engine of the deck. They're kind of what move you along. And they couldn't do what they do without the beautiful and amazing ultimate Jet Sylphimon. Like many of you guys know about the hybrids, the ultimate level hybrids in this set, they can digivolve over their champion forms for a cost of 1. And Jet Sylphimon, when you digivolve into it, it actually recovers 1 for free. And you just end up having more security than your opponent has, or you can pull yourself out of a bad situation, put yourself out of kill range, and it only costs 1. So it's pretty easy, pretty free, a fast way to stack them to a Mega if you want. Many times making a Jet Sylphimon is all I've ever wanted to do. So I'll make the Jet Sylphimon, swing with it. It may survive, it may not, but I've already gotten a lot of value. I got my draw and I got my recovery. That's all I need. And you'll see as we get into deck profile, I like to have really scary security, and Jet Sylphimon just gives me more opportunities to put the best cards in my security. So that's actually all the hybrids. It's the core of the deck, but it's actually not that many cards. It's really not. Next up, the last of our ultimates are 2 Rise Greymons. I do play ShineGreymon in this deck. Rise is kind of fitting, but for more ways than one. Rise lets you play a yellow Tamer for free when you digivolve into it, which I'll always digivolve into it. But maybe more important than that, if you have 3 or more yellow Tamers in play, it gives your Digimon, in this little inherited effect, security attack plus 1. So it can give you much needed power that this deck usually lacks. The hybrids, they give you speed, but they only hit for 1 security per attack. So it's aggression, but it's not that aggressive. Rise Greymon says, well, now your Megas can hit for 2. So you actually put out a threat on board. And given that my Megas aren't the most aggressive things in the world, if you can go into them with Rise Greymon instead of Jet Sylphimon, it can make a huge difference in whether or not your opponent tries to use resources to get rid of it or not. Oh, into Megas. So I've already alluded to them, so I'm just going to get right into it. We have 3 ShineGreymons. I wish I had a third of the alt art, but I don't. I didn't think I needed one, but I kind of do. I've had tournaments where I didn't even play this card, but it didn't really bother me. I did okay in those tournaments as well. But boy, when I did use this. So a lot of you guys remember ShineGreymon. It taps all your yellow Tamers when you Digivolve into it, and it drops a minus 4,000 DP reduction on any Digimon for each Tamer you have. So at the bare minimum, usually you want to have 3 Tamers, so it's 3 4,000 DP drops. If your opponent has a wide board of rookies, you can drop 1 4,000 here, 1 4,000 there, 1 4,000 there. If they have just one strong Mega, you can drop all 3 on that Mega. If he's 12,000 or less, it'll die. But you can have more Tamers than that, and you just democratically break up all the 4,000s to wipe their board. Very, very useful in the late game. I know some people don't like it. They think that the deck has enough control elements. Because I don't always know my matchups the best, I feel like I need the most control cards that I can possibly have. So having ShineGreymons plus the other cards that you're going to see, I don't regret it. Also, ShineGreymon gets a boost in DP for every Tamer that you have. I believe it's 1,000 per Tamer. Yeah, 1,000 per Tamer during your turn. So ShineGreymon can freely attack into security when you have a lot of Tamers. And if you have Rise underneath him, he's swinging for 2. And then my other Mega is 2 of the Dynasmon. So Dynasmon is useful for 2 reasons. One, when you Digivolve into it, you can drop one of your security, and because of Jet Sylphimon, you should have plenty of security. You get to dig 6 cards into your deck and select 2 level 6 and lower Digimon. And that's it. So pretty much your whole deck is available to you. So you can use this to search for really any pieces that you need. It's honestly amazing. I love that effect on Dynasmon. And there are times where you don't want to use it. That's fine, because its other effect is so much value turn after turn. So on all turns, both your turn and your opponent's turn, if you lose security and you have 3 or less, it gains security once per turn. So when I use that effect and I have 4 security or less, I will always get that security back. Great. If my opponent hits me and I'm at 4 or less, I will get 1 security back. It can take you out of kill range, make things kind of annoying for your opponent. And if you make it underneath or on top of ShineGreymon, it swings for 2. So it's not a very aggressive card, but you can make it aggressive. It's a native 12,000, so your opponent has to respect its power one way or the other. It costs 4 the same way as Rise, but we like to have enough memory, where that doesn't even matter. And then I have 1 of Susanuomon. Now this is something I do want to change. I only ever got 1. It costs a little bit, and I'm not trying to spend that money. Though I did get one that's coming in, so that will be a change that I'll make. Susanuomon is, I don't know, it feels like, in my eyes, it's like One Punch Man almost. You can make it for a cost of 7. It digivolves over a Tamer. The only thing that you have to do is have 10 hybrids or Tamers in your hand and or trash to shuffle back into your deck, and you make this guy, who has security attack +2, so he's hitting for 3. Not to mention, on Digivolve, it deletes one of your opponent's Digimon. It doesn't matter what it is, he can get rid of anything. It's a great finisher to have. Every game where I see this, finishing it is so much easier. Any game where I don't see this, though, then it's all about that pace that I play with, gaining resources, taking away theirs. And some decks will let you do that, and some decks won't. Seeing Susanuomon helps you end games. Not to mention, those 10 cards get shuffled back. Not shuffled. They get placed at the bottom of your deck. So it can really help you not deck out, because we played a long game around here. I've been close to decking out many opponents. Luckily, I haven't had to do that, but you're not going to get decked out easily if you're playing Susanuomon, 1 or 2. It sucks when it ends up in security, because I only have the 1 right now. But that's Digimon. All right, so that's it for all my Digimon. I still have actually plenty of the deck left, so you know what's coming. Because I'm playing Shine, I'm playing hybrids. So I have Tamers, guys. I have Tamers. So I have 2 of the 2-cost TK Takaishi. This guy just increases the DP of your security Digimon, so it overlaps with Zephyrmon. I have one of the 3-cost Kari Kamiya. This one is you have three or fewer security, gain a memory. I like to have excess memory, but it's not that. But in this case, this card's only here because it costs 3, and there is that little bit of utility to gain memory. It can come out. It's one of those cards that I'd side out fairly easily. 4 of Zoe Orimoto, very, very important card, but arguably one of our worst Tamers. Is very similar to this TK. It goes into your security stack, and you can remove a hybrid and then recover one. Oftentimes, though, you may not have a hybrid in your security stack. Maybe you used TK before then and you knew that going in, or you didn't know. So, yeah, that's not great, but it costs 3. And in a deck that plays hybrids that wants to be able to get aggressive at a moment's notice, having these 2 and 3 drop Tamers means that I can prepare to get aggressive very quickly for a cheap cost. Remember, Bokomon is always refunding, and if you have multiple, it's giving you extra memory for these plays. So having cheap Tamers lets you kind of turn on the gas whenever you want to. Next up, I already talked to him a little bit, but 4-cost TK. I feel like I need this card because I play at a very measured pace. Getting the memory fix is very important because a lot of people aren't playing their memory fixers, so I can choke them very easily. And then TK makes it so they can't choke me back. I've had matchups where they get me at a memory deficit. And then the moment I can get this guy off and get my search, now we're playing on an even playing field and I can start getting more advantage over them. I honestly would not play any less. I need to see this card in more matchups than not. There's only one time I don't need to see this card, and you'll see why. Because I also play 4 of TK and Kari. They're kind of grown forms. So this card is kind of nuts if you see it in any more than just 1. If you see it in 2, 3, or 4, my God, this card's crazy. So if you have fewer security than your opponent, you gain 2 memory. Now, you'll say, but you're playing Jet Sylphimon, you'll always have more security than your opponent. Because we have Jet Sylphimon and we're playing at a measured pace, we can control when we expect. We can control when to expect to have more or less security than our opponent. If I have two of these on board, you best believe I'm trying to keep us very close in security so I can drop one at a moment's notice. Or I might not aggress for 1 turn just to keep the memory bonus that I'll get for this card. Because getting 2 memory is pretty good. If I'm getting 4, I'm not even worried about having TK anymore. I might Digivolve off this guy. If I've had games where I ended up with 3 of these on board and I'm going to 10 memory every turn, it's very, very hard to lose with this deck if you're getting 10 memory every turn. It's very hard to lose. And it's not that scary in certain matchups when you always have Jet Sylphimon to just give you back a little bit of your security every turn. Also, when one of your yellow Digimon attack, you can tap these guys and they'll drop a minus 1,000 DP reduction on a Digimon. Minus 1,000 isn't a lot, but it lets you break ties with your 12s, and it lets you delete annoying little floodgate Digimon like Gazimon and the reduced cost blockers. I always forget their names. What's that? Madoki Betamon? Is he one of them? I always forget which ones are which. Either way, those guys rarely ever had more than 2,000 DP. So if you have just 2 of these on board, you can also control like rookies. I love this card, but I want to see it at multiples. If I only see 1, I'm hesitant to pay the 4 cost to drop it. But if I see 2, I'm going to want to drop them as soon as I can. The early game in this deck, at least for me, is all about playing Tamers, more so than anything else. If your opponent swings at your security, you can be fairly certain you're going to have a certain number of Tamers in there. So you want your opponent to hit your security earlier, because Now, every time you get a Tamer down, that's more advantage for later. That's more memory for later. That's more things to power your ShineGreymons. That's more things to Digivolve off of. Tamers are the life and blood of this deck, and how you get them out and how you utilize them is how you will win. I've had games that I've lost because I've forgotten to use that minus 1000 DP reduction. I guess to say, it's not that I lost because I didn't use it. I didn't win because I didn't use it. I forgot I had it. It's a tool that you need to use, and we're about to get into the rest of our control cards, and you will see why. So next up is options. I'm gonna do the purple option first because this is the whole reason we play purple in this deck at all. I have 3 copies of Shore's Laersatz. Boy, I can't say it. So this card is kind of nuts, and for a 6 cost, that's especially nuts. For every hybrid and Tamer you have in play, you can just delete one of your opponent's level 5 or lower Digimon. Yeah. I already talked about how I like to play a lot of Tamers. I hope to have at least 3 on my board, but I can have 4, 5, 6, especially if my opponent's hitting my security. I can have 7. And this card just deletes one level 5 or lower Digimon for each one. This is huge board control. Your opponent wants to go wide. Good luck when you're playing this card. This makes it very hard for them. And at the bare minimum, all you need is a face-up Xiaomon in your security. You don't have to have a purple Digimon on board. And if this thing shows up in security, you don't have to worry about that. It just goes off. You just activate the card's main effect. This is the most dangerous card in my security, like in the whole deck. There are matchups where it's not as useful, matchups that are more level 7 and 6 based. But it's a very useful control card to have in the deck. Speaking of useful control, we have 2 Wyvern's Breath. This drops minus 15 DP on anything. So it can kill anything for a cost of 8. This is for the things that Schwartz can't hit. This thing hits Susanomons. It hits Jessmons. It hits I forget the name of the Emperor Greymons and things. And if they somehow have boosted themselves over 15, let's not forget, you have your TK and Kari to drop their DP down by just enough where this will get the kill. I've passed turns killing things with this. It's perfectly fine. If you played the deck right, you've been gaining resources and reducing your opponents every turn. So losing a turn to kill a threat is not a loss at all because you've already earned it. And if it shows up in security, woo! I love it when this is the first card checked in a multi-hit security game. Like when you play against like red hybrid or really almost any red deck. They're going to hit for multiple. You check Schwartz, you check Wyvern's Breath, and you're okay. Last but not least, I have my 1 Holy Flame. It reduces the Digimon security attack by 3 for a turn. Very useful against red decks that get very aggressive. I only have 1. That's for side decking reasons. I'll talk a bit about that later. But when you check it in security, it gives all of your opponent's Digimon security minus 1. I've had a situation where my opponent did go wide with like 5 or 6 Digimon. They checked the Holy Flame. Everybody got a minus 1. This is a very, very useful card because I have to say, matchups where they do a lot of security damage in 1 attack, those are the ones that are most dangerous because we gain security, but we don't gain it in large bursts. We gain it turn after turn slowly and try to maintain. So if Ancient Greymon hits for 3 and 4 security, you might be in trouble if you don't check something like a Holy Flame or a Wyvern's Breath or, well, Schwartz won't help you on that, but it can kill everything else. You want to check these cards in your security, and we're gaining security. We're removing things out of our security with Zoe and TK, so we're trying to leave just the best stuff in there. It's just horrifying when you look at your security and you see things like Elecmon and Susanomon in there. Oh, and Bokomon taking up 3 out of your 5 slots. You can't take them easily with TKs. You can't take them with Zoes. They do nothing when they're hit. It hurts, especially a late game TK check that looks like this. I've had that happen, and I've lost because of it. It will happen. That's just luck. That you can't do anything about that. And last but certainly not least is Reinforcing Memory Boost. I have never played this card I have played this card out of hand just once because it was a situation where I had a free like 3/6 drop. Reinforcing Memory Boost can take it takes 2 cards from your deck, and you can either put one in your hand and you can put one in your security. Great for recovery. It's also a memory boost, so you get a delay and a boost of 3 memory. It's one of those things that you don't need to rely on it, but it's really nice when it shows up, especially in security, because you get to slap it down, and on your turn, you have an extra 3 memory to play with. That's huge and not huge. You're not going to win the game because of it, but you can get to play one more card, take one more thing away from your opponent, and that is how you will win the game. So that's really my whole deck. And I'll get into the side. So siding is very hyperbolic in Digimon right now. The rules keep changing. I know it was 15 cards. Last I heard it was 5 cards. And there's many reasons why. But I'm just gonna go over some useful cards that you can have to fix a lot of matchups. First up is Sakuyamon. Sakuyamon is great and amazing, and I love this card. If your opponent moves something out of raising, it gets a security -3. This is just a kind of passive effect on your opponent's turn that she always has. There are matchups like Jessmon. Jessmon's going to be made in raising. He's going to slide on up. He's going to try and swing. Sakuyamon says no. I guess you can swing, you're just not going to do any damage. Yeah, that's really her whole purpose. Just to like tap down those aggressive decks that swing for multiple that come out of raising, which there are quite a few of, mostly red. Sakuyamon is great for those red matchups. Speaking of great for red matchups, my 2 other Holy Flames, if it comes up, I don't like things coming out of raising and hitting for 3 and 4. I hate that. I hate it so much. Holy Flame is great for that. If you put multiple in, there's a higher chance of it showing up in your security. I like having dangerous security. I like Holy Flame. I have 1 ShineGreymon. This is for matchups when your opponent doesn't want to swing at your security. A lot of times, especially even in those matchups where your opponent is swinging like out of security or out of their raising area, they're not going to try and hit any of your security until they're ready to try and take you all out at once. That will hamper your TK and Karis. You'll have a hard time getting them to go off. ShineGreymon can just take one off from you the same way Dynasmon will. You pair these 2 together, and you don't need your opponent to swing to get your extra memory. He's also very, very aggressive. If you Digivolve this off of a Rise Greymon, he swings twice for security attack +1. It's a card your opponent has to do something about because they were trying to play the long game and get ready to swing for all at once, and now they're about to lose. And then I have 3 Cutemons just to like deal with other hybrid matchups. I haven't had any issues with the blue hybrid matchup all that much. Blue hybrid is very versatile, and it can beat you even when you do have a good matchup. But it's a control deck for the most part. And I feel that if you give me time, and even if you're controlling my board, I'm still gaining more over the course of a game than you are. So I don't really worry about the blue hybrid matchup. But this card's great in any hybrid, purple, blue, green. I actually haven't played against green, but stopping them from getting their cheap Digivolutions is a great move for any hybrid matchup. So that's everything I have for my purple-yellow hybrid deck. I've never enjoyed a Digimon deck more than I enjoy this one, and it's not just because I get to play ShineGreymon. This deck would be perfect if I got to play Pulsemon in it. Pulsemon's my favorite rookie Digimon right now, period. Guys, what do you think about Digimon right now? What do you think about the yellow-purple hybrid deck? What do you think about the metagame and all? How do you feel about the rule changes? Because the mulligan rule, it has been one of my favorite things. I want to see Bokomon. It's very obvious, and mulligans help me stay consistent. The side decking thing it's been up and down, left and right. Some decks seem to get so much more out of side decking than others. Let me know how you feel about that. And stay tuned for more Digimon content. Pass turn.